Next up is poet Miriam O'Neill in a reading of her original work.
Our next poet tonight is someone I had the pleasure to meet a few years ago, and I've been following her career ever since. It's been an absolute pleasure to get to know this woman. Miriam O'Neill has published 3 collections of poetry and numerous book reviews. Her collection, The Body Dialogues from Lily Poetry Book Review Books, was nominated for a Massachusetts Art of the Book Award in 2021. She hosts the monthly reading series Poetry, the Art of Words at Books and Sundry at the Plymouth Waterfront. Miriam O'Neill, please.
Hello. Thank you for putting this together, Hometown Laureate Committee. And I'm so glad to be part of this. So I have a handful of poems. Most of them have to do with birds. Birds follow me, haunt me, interest me, teach me. My new book has a bird on the front. So, but I want to start with a poem that came from the night of the Plymouth Poet Laureate finalist reading in February of 2020, just before the world shut down. We had a wonderful time. We had 90-something people in the library, in the Phalo room. It was great. And we sold a lot of books, the people who read. So this is a poem written to the woman in the white sweater who hugged me. I'm sorry, I've lost your name, which I asked for in all sincerity. It was a hectic night, books to sign, friends to greet, the headiness of applause fresh in my bloodstream. And there you were, the look in your eyes telling me something had happened to you in that room. Was it the thought of going free like the birds in my last poem? Some childhood memory shaken from its nest to pirouette in winter flannels? I'm still thinking of your embrace, the way you stayed close longer than the others, shorter than I am, gazing up. Your white sweater, its neckline of ribbon rosebuds like a pillowcase pinned on a line in winter sunlight. Thank you. I know I said that at least, when you leaned against my chest and said, I loved, but didn't finish. My mother sometimes did the same, left words unsaid. And now for a bunch of birds. It's a little tiny poem. Imagine what tree tells owl early in the morning as light opens its mouth and begins its meal of night. This is a totally different kind of bird. I'm old enough to, actually, I was young enough to remember the 60s, but old enough to have been there. Shuffling the late 60s. They were the years of coronets and violins, the sounds of triumph and nostalgia, spigots of tears, frantic flames, the way we enveloped each day of body counts and bodies burning and brutal beatings before our eyes, and they called it news, and we called it shame. And Nina's 88 keys were rifle shots some didn't know how to hear. And the suits were pale blue, as if that made the sellout unreal, man, as if caring was a commodity in a futures market. Oh, yes, it was. If you've seen the documentary about Nina Simone at the Summer of Woodstock, but in New York City. So I have Just three more poems. Forgot to check that. A radiance of shadow. 5 a.m. 8 crows converge on roof's rim and scuffle hoe the wooden gutter, thumping so hard I imagine a pair of stout raccoons up on the shingles. Out in my robe to investigate, they disperse. The split rail fence, the spruce, the yellowwood all fill with squawking until by ones and twos they wing away. All night, all week at night, you have stood beside the dead under the gaze of others and pronounced the time of death. Grief, a harvest of wild berries on your tongue, you taste in sleep, that inky sweetness of fruit picked too soon or late. When my brother left, a radiance of shadow bloomed from his dying. That night I lay awake, my breath and pulse a chant inside my body. Just the same, just the same, just the same. We had jostled around his bed, taking turns, whispering names in his ears of loved ones. Traveled with him as far as our living would permit. Then the quiet of him gone spilled us back today, and we scattered to our tasks, eyes brilliant with witness. Like crows at dawn, we manage each new loss, forage in our guttered grief, then fly on. And I have 2 small poems. Icarus had a son, in case you didn't know that, the legend. I mean, if there's going to be a legend, there may as well be, generations in the legend. Icarus's unclaimed son has questions. What did it mean to fly when no one could? What was there to fear that we aren't wise enough to fear now? Where was he going, and who with? Why did my grandfather insist on the sky? Why was I not in the plan? When I find a white feather afloat on the Aegean, I remember that I cannot remember him. And so I'd like to end with this poem. I told you I love birds. Birds have different names. We know about the murder of crows. Did you know that a flock of turkeys is called a rafter? And finches, a group of finches is called a charm or a chirm. This is called the charm. This noon, finches claim the feeder. Muddy scarlet house and golds in their winter drab. They flick away the titmice and juncos who lurk in the privet, gray on buff or black on gray, who must dart for seeds while the finches chaff their fill. I used to wait for him on my perch, hope he'd choose me, though I didn't know how a boy decided. And no one bothered to explain I was unnerving, my bookishness a charm of words that made most boys flounder. The years have passed and that bird's flown, 2 wives wedded and left, and fledglings spun in nests of promises, then discarded. And I, settled as a stone, unwinged, what should I do with this happiness? Thank you.
Thank you for watching. We are grateful for your attention. If you like what you saw, please like and subscribe to the local scene here and share everywhere. Thank you, friends.